What's going on, everybody? It's Ron Brown, LMT, the People's Fitness Professional, aka Soul Brother number one, reporting for duty. We have the guard magnetic in the building.
Peace, Lord. Peace, peace, peace. I
Peace,
supreme.
peace. I know you like the close camera view, but I'm not fully shaved, so
I get you. I got you. I just had to tighten mine up, bro, real quick before I got on there. I didn't want to, you come suited and booted, you always get saluted. So I wanted
indeed,
to, do right.
that's a fact.
Yeah, we got a very special guest today on the show. It's a brother by the name of Malakai Kane, and he is with a group known as Africatown International. Brother works all over the country and all over the world. Actually, he's an international mover and shaker. And he's going to talk to us about. We was on him. We was talking about the livable black cities and the 16 black meccas, and he happens to be from one of those Midwest meccas. So he's going to chop it up with us on that, and then tell us about some of the displacement that's been going on where he's from, and some of the solutions that he's implemented. Because the brother's actually implementing quite a few solutions to offset a lot of this displacement, which is one of the 11 principles of white supremacy,
Indeed, which was a
Mhm.
great presentation, by the way. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and if anyone wants to see that, it is in the Black Round Table YouTube list. So we have
Mhm.
like YouTube. Wait, what is it called? There's another. It's another name for this
Oh, the playlist, you mean?
playlist. There we go.
Mhm, mhm.
And all we have for recurring guests like the God Magnetic, we have a playlist. So he has a Black
Mhm,
Roundtable playlist. There's a Moorish playlist. There's a 5% playlist. So y'all can go
mhm.
there on YouTube and check that out. Also, remember we are on Rumble as well. We are active live on Rumble. Rumble is another platform for sure. Rumble is a
Mhm.
platform that's like another YouTube.
Right,
It's like baby YouTube. So
right.
we're also growing over there. So you can go over there, go to Rumble. We're also on Spotify, Apple, and all the other streaming platforms. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We're
Yes,
here.
sir.
All right. So now, where did you meet the brother? How do you? His name is Malachi, right?
Yeah, Malachi Kane. Hmm.
Malachi Kane. Would that be anything to do with Daddy Kane?
Well, we could ask him that. We could ask him that. He might have some type of mysterious connection to Big Daddy Kane. Yeah. Ain't no half step. I could say that he don't be doing no half stepping, so maybe that's how he's connected to Kane.
Well, Kane,
Yeah.
Kane is Daddy. Kane is an acronym for knowledge.
King
Hold on,
Allah,
King,
something
something Asiatic.
King Asiatic.
King Asiatic, right? King
Right,
Asiatic.
right,
King
right.
Asiatic. Something else.
Something, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was always one of my favorites. I ain't gonna lie. Big Daddy Kane. He had major bars.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
He had bars. He had the showmanship. He had the dance and all
Hmm.
that. He had the dope
The
clothes and
fresh cameo cut. Yep.
yeah.
Hmm. They was talking about him and they was asking him, well, you had a lot of competition with Rakim and KRS-One. He was like, how did you? They was like, how did you do that? He was like, well, I knew I was a little better looking than KRS-One, so I kind of had him on that. And then we danced and stuff, and he didn't really dance, but he had a hype show, so I knew I had to, come a little dapper, cleaner, and
Mhm.
dance a little more. Cause Rakim don't dance at all, so
Yeah,
he said that's how I got my advantage. I said okay.
yeah. Scoop and Scrap Lover.
Ooh, that was the
Those,
coldest.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, that was the coldest, bro.
Everybody
And I
was trying
always
to
was
do the
gifted.
Daddy Kane moves.
Yeah, couldn't nobody. And then he was tall. He was a tall dude that could dance. I was like, this shit is crazy. He do the splits and everything. I said, oh my God, he's about that life. Him and Hammer.
Yo, but you know what? When Hammer came in, forget about Daddy Kane on the dance moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Hammer couldn't. Kane couldn't do what Hammer did. It's like, mm-mm.
Hammer was next level with it. Hammer was next level. He from out there where y'all. Well, no, he's not from Seattle, but he's from Oakland.
Yeah, he from Oakland. Yeah.
Still the
Yep.
West Coast.
And He's about that business. You can't step to him, man. He will fade you. If you get out of line, he will get you back in line real quick.
Yeah, I
He ain't
heard
no
about
sucker.
I
Yep.
heard I heard about that.
He ain't
So
no
now,
sucker, man.
so now to go into the black cities,
Mhm.
Africatown International. Do you know anything? So what is Africatown International?
I don't know if you ever heard about a place in Alabama that's called Africatown. Have you ever heard of that?
No. Oh
So
wait.
there's a place that's been around since like way back, I think to since the 18 something, 1800s, and it's called Africatown. It's in Alabama. So you say, well, what is that about? Well, it was a group of slaves that had somehow broken away from their slave master and then took over the ship and then sailed the ship to Alabama and said, hey, we ain't gonna be slaves. And slavery was over, so they had to kind of give them a pass anyway, but there was still some people enslaved, but they had outlawed slavery at the time. That's a better way to say it. Okay, so what he wanted to do, this guy, his name was Cujo, they gave him some land and he said, we're gonna prepare people to go back to Africa here on this land, you
Mhm.
know, and get people prepared so they can make their re-entrance back to Africa who are slaves who've been stolen, and they had the land ever since like 18, I guess it was 1840, 1850, something like that. And a lot of people who had come out of slavery had moved there and they had their own independent town. And it lasted all the way until now. So the brother Malachi, he saw that and he said, well, look, I would like to take some people back home too, but we got some issues here with housing, with culture, with sanity. There's a lot of domestic issues that we got to deal with. So we got to kind of tighten people up culturally before we can bring them back home, or they're gonna run us out as soon as we hit the shore with all the craziness and all the vices of the Western world that we have. So what he does, he helps people with housing to find housing, and sometime when they're late on a couple payments and whatnot, they have it where they can help you with. They have rental assistance, and if you need just general placement, if you move somewhere new to a black city and you're trying to find your way around, he's one of those brothers that can kind of connect you to the necessary resources, the civic resources, in not all cities, but enough cities you know.
Mhm.
And as far as just trying to get our people where we're moving from jumping from space to space and having our own place where we can be, where we run it civically. So that's one of his ideas that he's been working on for a while. But when you're doing something like that, to find dedicated, serious, true blue people, you know, you know, that's a whole nother part of it. So I commend the brother for doing that over here and doing it over there on the continent.
Oh,
Um,
so he's doing it over here in the continent.
yeah, he's doing it in both. He's in Gambia, yeah. Because a lot of folks I deal with, believe it or not, they're in other places. Yeah.
Mm.
So is he in the backstage yet?
Oh, he's not here yet.
Okay, hold on. Let me go see what's up with bro. Give me a second.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, y'all. So here we go. Peace to y'all. Thank y'all for coming out this evening. I really appreciate y'all. We're trying to get the brother Malachi Kane on the check-in. Africatown International Urban Empowerment. We're trying to get him in right now to build with us on a few things, and possibly have him on a regular if that's possible. I just want to let y'all know we have super chat. Don't forget to super chat or comment, like, subscribe, share this right here. We're trying to grow right now. We're at 4296 on the YouTube. We got some subscribers over there on Rumble. We have like some good downloads on Spotify and all that. The podcast is growing. I just need y'all help a little bit more. That's about it. Next week is a fire. It's a crazy, crazy week. We have two shows Monday night, two shows Wednesday. Of course, Sunday, Eric Muhammad. I think we got a show this Friday. Um, Man, next week is going to be booked up crazy. The week after that, Follow us. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for supporting the page, supporting the movement. Okay, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you there, Mac?
Yeah, I'm here, man, but for some reason it's black.
It's oh, he'll be back. He'll be back. Anyway, pardon y'all. Things happen. Technical difficulties. Like I was saying, next week is a fire week. What's been going on with me? My brother just needed to relax a little bit, but next week it's on. It's on. We got what we got? Monday, we're gonna be building with the God, be knowledge at 7 p.m. 8 p.m. We got Bloods and Crips in the Moorish movement, part 2. And then got something else going on Wednesday. I forgot it. I forgot what we got going on Wednesday. Hold on. Wednesday, we got MAG, of course, at 7 p.m. And then 8 o'clock Wednesday. I forgot, but you'll see it. You'll see it. Anyway, we're back. What's going on, MAG?
What's up, family? The brother said he's logging on now, so
okay. All right. So I'm just giving them the rundown.
Giving them a preview for next week.
What's gonna happen next week?
Okay.
Yeah, we got a lot going on next week. Of course, Eric Muhammad always comes on with the truth and speaks how he wants to speak. You know what I mean? He deserves that as much work as he's been putting in.
Yeah, I mean, and then a lot of people have slacked on the doctrine. And when it comes to the NOI, and that brother, he sticks tight to the doctrine of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the lessons. I appreciate that. And he got love for the gods too. I heard what he said about the gods, that's who kind of laced him. Yeah. So, you got to respect that, brother.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Malakai Kane. Yeah. Okay, what's going on, brother?
Hey, peace, brothers. What's happening?
Yeah. Everything is good. Everything is good.
I was just telling them a little bit about you, brother, about the city you from and the work you do with Africatown. But no, I don't think nobody could tell that better than you, brother.
You might be right about that. Exactly. All right. Nice to meet you, Mr. Brown. And
nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you, man.
Peace, Lord.
Peace. Yeah, I come from Kansas City, Missouri. That is a Midwestern city or stronghold of Black culture, identity, and history, as are many others. It's a sister city, I guess you would say, of Detroit or New York. Chicago, and a lot of the other Midwestern towns. We're affiliated, and it's often, a travel destination in between those three cities. You would have a lot of traffic from Chicago, Detroit. I don't know if you're familiar with St. Louis and East St. Louis in Illinois City, but that's the eastern border of Missouri. And so Kansas City sits on the western border of Missouri. Historically, most people are not really familiar, especially on the coasts or outside of the Midwest. But Missouri was the last state in the Union or America to free the imprisoned and enslaved Africans and Black people that had been taken into custody and forced to work. So Missouri is the last state, the last holdout to give liberation or so-called or simulated or pseudo liberation to our people. So that says a lot, but it also is something that's not really spoken about and kind of minimized. But it has created an environment that has endured and lasted to this day, with some good points and some negative. So those are the type of people that we're dealing with. All of us are dealing with an oppressive force or nature of some sort. Even some of us are oppressing ourselves. But those in Missouri being the last to want to free people, even after the federal government and the other states had done so, just shows what type of individuals we're dealing with. Um, so, with that being said, with oppression and pain and tyranny and sadness, there often comes great talent, artistry, uh, culture, strong values, and the things that make us who we are. And a lot of times we don't understand who we are.
Mm.
And it's hard because we're in positions and places where people constantly are iterating and displaying and promoting messages about us and what we are and what we did and what such and such is and what he isn't and this and that. And so we get caught up in that a lot of times, either in, going hard to deny that or going hard to believe it and accepting it. But let me be the first or maybe one of the first people to say this. And it's important that we say this. Uh, we are the most powerful and influential people on planet Earth. I don't say that out of some false sense of pride or let me pump you up and give you a message of hope or this and that and this. I say that out of the reality of traveling the earth and dealing with the people in business and pleasure throughout the spheres of existence on this planet. And so I'm just giving you a glimpse of what I have encountered um, from an unbiased and surprised standpoint. Meaning, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to go to China and have people at high levels of society say what I just told you. I was not thinking I would go to Africa and throughout the continent of Africa, east, west, north, and south, and have people say that and then allow you to feel and experience that. You know, other places, Indonesia, Europe. We're told these people hate us. We're told that we should look for the treatment of inferiority or something when we go these places, because we're given this message here in America and through the media. But I assure you, when you go there and are recognized, and you will be recognized in the event that you can make it, inshallah, that you make it there and you see the people will themselves then recognize you and tell you, you are from the strongest people on planet Earth and we admire you. So, I mean, that's something that's just a reality that we have to inculcate inside of ourselves. Okay. And it's a reality that they don't want us to know. It's important that they keep that out of our grasp of mental tools when we wake up and say, I need to fight, I need to work, I need to build. Those are tools they don't want us to have. But it's known, like I said, throughout the world. So anyway, back to the region and the place where I hail from. It is a place that has been known for many things. I think all of us grew up watching the Western, shows of some sort where the shoot 'em up cowboy people, just as children. That's always been an interesting point for me because I always like guns, but when you really look at it, all of the criminals and so-called heroes of the past, they had come through Kansas City. You hear them talking about Dodge City and maybe even Possum Trot or this or that, and I'm talking about the Jesse Jameses and the Wyatt Earps and, all of these people, so this was a crossing point, a nexus from the east to the west during their criminality or on their run from the police, or you had the sheriffs and the other people chasing them through these regions. So it's always been a lawless type place where, where people was getting down, where there was a criminal element. And if you believe, like I believe, the earth is set up magnetically against ley lines. and other forces that encourage generations of behavior or millenniums of behaviors. You know what I'm saying? So if we see a certain section where people are intelligent and doing this and doing that, you know, years and generations and centuries later, we see the same thing. And, you know, they attribute this to what they call ley lines or the magnetisms of the earth. I think it goes deeper than that, but the same thing is in effect in Kansas City, Missouri, and throughout Missouri, where you have this element of a hardened individual that has, you know, skills and knowledge in the criminal world, in the law enforcement world, in the creative world, the artistic world, the music world. All of these things are prevalent and exist there. So it's just worth noting. So when we advance forward from the Western age, we see Kansas City becoming a mob town, you know. And when I refresh your mind on this, right now you're thinking, well, mob town, what do you mean by that? Well, I mean the mafia, the Italian and Jewish criminal organization that dominated the early 19th and 20th century of America, so far as business and criminal enterprise. You know, so when we say that, we think, oh, Al Capone, and you know, we have, you know, in New York you had the crime families and this and that. So Kansas City was always the dip out spot when it got hot in Chicago, when it got hot in Brooklyn, when it got hot in these other places, they would migrate to Kansas City. So it was a large conglomerate of those individuals there. All right. So you remember in that movie, I believe it was Casino, you know, and the people were in the store talking on the phone. And then that phone call then got intercepted, and the people in Las Vegas and the other people in New York and all these other people got indicted and pulled into different, you know, legal situations. Well, the store was in Kansas City, you know, and the families that were there were the middlemen and the brokers for the money that was traveling from the east to the west and the north to the south, because Kansas City sits in the middle of what we used to call the cross. Okay, so you had I-35 going north and south from Chicago to Houston. Then you have I-70 basically transitioning from Los Angeles up into I-80 into New York. So it's a perfect cross. So right there and there, you have a large amount of the trafficking that's going on, whether it be money or illicit substances going north, south, east, and west. Kansas City is the central point for that and has the highways and the railways to support that. So it's not by accident that it is what I say it is, and that is a capital of transit, whether it be legal or illegal. So heavy mob influence, heavy black influence. Okay, you have a place there in Kansas City that developed called the 18th and Vine region. You know, initially a slum, but a cousin to Renaissance Harlem, where you had a significant amount of blues, jazz, gospel, and other musical acts, acting acts, and Kansas City being a point of kind of a stepping stone or a place where you had to go get validated to go either east, west, north, or south for your fame. So visited by any and all names that you can think of. You had to go play that. It wasn't the Chitlin circuit, but it was more of an introduction to Hollywood or an introduction to New York. So the people that came out of the Midwest, the funk, the soul, the blues, the jazz, all of that, the first big city or step on the stage that they took or had was to Kansas City, and then from there you saw them in New York, in Seattle, in Los Angeles, in Las Vegas, things of that nature. So often a pioneering point. You'll see a pioneering spirit coming out of Kansas City, you know, where you have people that are traveling with goods, services, talent, and drugs going to these places. If you remember, in the movie South Central, you had the man called the Kansas City Smack Man. Okay, so he's the one that's responsible for turning LA out on the dope, and then he was maintaining and operating a significant organization there that was then oppressing the people with these drugs there. So, the references in the movies are consistent. Did you guys see that show Fargo?
I've never seen that show.
You gotta see it. You gotta see it. You got Bokeem Woodbine in it.
Mm.
And he is the enforcer hitman, but he's so classy and pimpish. And he comes from Kansas City and goes into this network of these criminals who have integrated in and out of the legal and business networks of this small town that's holding down these millions of dollars and actually a conduit for drugs. And it's actually reality. As I said, north, south, east, and west, if you wanted to travel there, Kansas City was a point. So the higher up, higher tier business level criminals were in Kansas City regulating Fargo, which is north, going past Minneapolis. So Minneapolis is a midpoint between Kansas City and Chicago. So it's all along the I-35 corridor. So this, when you wanted to move dope, or excuse me, if you wanted to move whatever product you wanted to move, Minnesota was a stop, Chicago was a stop, and in between Chicago and Minneapolis to the north, you had Fargo and some of the North Dakota and South Dakota areas. So this was and still is a major criminal network and place where, a lot of the stuff goes on. So anyway, a lot of music, a lot of jazz. I think also Missouri has the highest concentrations of prisons in America. And I got that fact at one point in time during the late 90s, where they had done a survey or a study, and they said that Missouri was the place most likely on planet Earth for a black man to die. Okay, unnaturally and prematurely. Okay, and if you remember, we had our brother Mike Brown, the one that started a lot of these movements that they've exploited and used and done whatever they're doing. Black Lives Matter. Several of them. They came, but it was commonplace for us to be in those situations. But it was just that when they wanted to exploit it for their media purposes, it became something that was nationwide and known. But Kansas City to St. Louis, another place that I have lived and went to school actually in St. Louis. Very violent communities often, overly policed, corrupt law enforcement, corrupt citizenry, and just a very hard place to live and deal with. Very hard places to live and deal with. So that's just always been in. Did you have a question, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of transition and ask you, brother, based upon that experience, how did that lead you to start building your organization, Africatown, based upon the displacement, the crime, and the devaluing of your particular city, family? How does that lead you to Africatown?
Okay, that's a great question. Me myself, growing up in the era before crack, and right now we're dealing with two systems and schools of thought in the Black populations of North America, and that is those of us that saw the world before crack, and those that of us who haven't. And when we explain or try to get back to a point before that, we have resistance from those who have not seen it and did not understand community and what it meant to walk outside and see clean neighborhoods with respectable people and cut lawns and those that wanted better, doctors' offices. Yes, sir.
So you said time before crack, right? And you went down the line and explaining, what you saw and your experiences before crack. Um, Now you said you get pushback from people who didn't have that experience, correct?
That's correct.
Now,
I think,
what's the pushback like? Like, what is it? What do you mean pushback?
well, the pushback is when you try to speak organization uh, and the appearance of respectability, morality, respect. When you try to speak that, there is an energy and a force that meets you with this is our reality. Shut up, man. We don't want to hear that. This is that. I'm not pulling my pants up just to go and walk down the street with you. No, we're not coming together to fight against, violence in our community or the drugs, because that's part of our community. That's who we are. Okay. But the reality is, if you saw beforehand, that's not the truth, that this was something that was slowly imposed upon us, that brought us to a level that we never wanted or desired to be at. So there's this force that is embracing this hood culture or this violence or this drug thing and making it as if it's part of us, and it's a foreign object and agent in our community, and we have to call it out for what it is. Because if you saw beforehand and you see now, you realize the benefit of beforehand. Now, it wasn't all, like they said, the good old days wasn't all that good. And that's not what I'm not going into that. We got to go back in time and no, but I'm saying there were elements there that we do not have today that have been replaced with other elements. Every show that come out, that's a success. Why it's got to have guns and drugs in it? We rush into the TV to see the new episode of Power, the new, upload or remake of Boys in the Hood or this or that. Where's our respectable things at? Is it the one where the woman is at the White House as the side piece to the president? Where is it? So when we look back before crack, we see the women that had strength and resilience and high levels of intelligence and who were culturally integrated with sophistication. We see the brothers that were prone and primed for leadership, you know what I'm saying, that could speak with intelligence to, the establishment about what we need and how we're going to get it and what they need to do for us to have it. And all of that has been replaced with something, that has this tinge of crack to it, this tinge of weed to it. I gotta be, cool, like Snoop Dogg. And, no offense to anybody, but I got to go to the White House and smoke a joint. I don't have to go to the White House and deliver, a 12-point program or a plan of action to save my community from the gangs and drugs that I just came from.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go there and turn on some rap music, smoke some joint, just to show that I'm culturally involved and integrated and accepted at the highest levels. So those are the changes I'm speaking about.
Mm.
Yeah. So, I think it's important, like I said, that the people that were here before, because of those that weren't, they don't know that it's possible that everybody's not involved in this game or some scheme or some drug or something on this level. The majority of people that I saw growing up, when I would walk down the streets that are now dilapidated and demolished and gentrified ghettos, there were doctors' offices, lawyers' offices, businesses, stores, restaurants, pawn shops, insurance agencies, all kind of things, and it was all Black. There was no integration. During the 70s and the 80s, this is before the people felt comfortable, before you was strung out, before you was timid and weak, before you was paranoid and shaky with warrants and trying to just get another blast. Before that, when you were strong walking down the street, they didn't come in our neighborhood, and I see, or what I began seeing after the 80s, if y'all remember Beat Street,
Mm-hmm.
the movie Beat Street. Okay, you know, it was a heavy movie, right? It was real influential. But we had beef with another crew. We got together and we started doing martial arts that they call breakdancing. Okay? They couldn't have that. So the police would come in and arrest people. Remember when Lee and the other brothers were breaking in against their rivals in the train station? Police came with billy clubs, chasing them, trying to beat them up just for dancing and listening to some music. They did that until Colors came out. Okay, now we shooting with guns with each other, but they wasn't stopping that. You see what I'm saying? So before and after. You know, those are two eras in a transitional period between two mindsets of a nation under hypnosis that had been pulled into a behavior set of self-destructive behavior. Now, the other people are breakdancing in front of the Pope, receiving, you know, scholarships and grants. You know, the other people are rapping, getting the Grammys and the awards for telling us how to go criminalize and brutalize each other. All right. So we just have to always look at the lens, what it's looking at, and who's directing the camera on that lens and what they want to see and how it's affecting us. So those are just some of the examples that I'm speaking of. So with that being said, how do we get back but still go forward? Or how do we pull elements from behind us that we can stand on and that we can create a new sense of pride, intelligence, and prosperity with, while still remaining in the modern world and attracting the attention of the youth, which is the primary goal, because we want to impart upon them what we know so that they can take it and impart and build and develop the future for all of us. You know, that's always been the message. So I grew up around several revolutionary organizations that were prominent in the city that spoke about these issues that, of course, were decimated and annihilated by the system or drugs or whatever. You know, hard to say. So many different factors working against them. So a common point has always been Africa. You know, and you know, I have this conversation increasingly more so now than ever, where people are challenging the relevance of Africa to our identity.
Oh man, that is how long has that been going on, brother? At least
forever. If you look at the movie Roots, you know, you see you see the plantation people. Oh, here come that nigga from Africa. He from Africa now, and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, he ain't one of. You know, you see it. I mean, it's displayed from our story from the beginning. You know, and it's also something that I was told by my elders. You know, and it just went something like, you know, we would be here, we would get our game plan together, and then there would come another group that had no idea of what was really going on here, and the establishment, the slave culture, would tell them, hey, listen, go along to get along, and one day you'll be free and go home. And we would be sitting there like, man, we heard that. Our grandmother heard that. Our grandfather heard. We're not going for it. But we would then be outnumbered by a younger, stronger population of ignorant people. See the parallels. And then those people would then take direction against us in fear of losing the promise from the establishment. And then we would be in opposition, and neither group would be able to advance, and the establishment would then go to the next level, imprisoning another generation, and then bring another group of ignorant people and put on top of those and continue the cycle of infighting and domination. So Africa, as I said, being a central point to our identity. And oftentimes they say, man, I ain't from Africa, I'm indigenous and blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. And they'll cite a book. It's called They Came From Before Columbus. I think we've all heard of that.
Yeah.
And so I would always question them. They came from where? You know, they came from where? Where did they come from? Yeah, they came before Columbus. You're indigenous. And just for the record, indigenous simply means I was here before the white man came. Okay, it wasn't mean I grew out of the rocks that's on the ground right now and now I'm here. No, it just means I came before the discovery of the white man of where we are right now, and that is why I am indigenous. So, Africa being the central point of return, another story comes out from the late 1800s or the slave era, uh, and that was of the original Africatown. And that was where a group of individuals was brought on a slave ship to America, which was then stopped the process of them being enslaved and the importation of the human trafficking. Let's call it what they call it today. America was built on human trafficking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so when uh, they arrived in America with their cargo, the authorities, federal and otherwise, stopped the ship, the people on board, and no one got arrested because they were all, of course, wealthy, upper class or ruling class peoples here in the South. And so what ended up happening, the Africans that were on the boat, the West Africans who were on the boat that had been seized, were released and given a tract of land, which was known as Africatown. There were also at the same time during this emancipation period, the 1860s and above, you had many freed, recently freed people here in North America migrating and trying to find a place away from those people where they could then flourish or just escape the vagrancy laws or some of the other things that started to come into play. And then there were still places like Missouri where people were still being drugged and taken to be enslaved. So there was the Africans that had just recently gotten here who had never experienced slavery. And you had people that had been here for generations who had experienced slavery coming together at a place called Africatown. The Africans did not know how to navigate the natural state or the political or socio-economic constraints of the time frame. Okay, the recently freed men and women, they did, just as we do today. And they were able to come together and create a micro civilization where those who had been formerly enslaved got to learn about their culture, integrate and work with the Africans who had just come, and create Africatown. So I think that is that concept in itself of recognizing everyone's specific role throughout the diaspora, coming together and bringing your talents, your skills, your tools, your knowledge, and combining it in a fight or flight type mentality, because that's where we are, you know. And we don't really look at it like that, you know. And a lot of times we don't realize how deep and how far we are along this pathway of destruction. You know, I think it was Ice Cube that came out. Yeah, it was Ice Cube in the late '80s. Yeah, and he had the intro to the track was "Niggas is in a state of emergency." You know, and yeah, that was cool, something to listen to, something to gangbang to, something to shoot it up to. But that is a reality, and look how long ago it was and still is. You know, so that's why I said if we could join together with that fight or flight mentality of we have to work together, we have to create a peaceful table amongst us where we talk and deal with the bigger issue and really construct methodologies of survival of success, of defense, of offense, and really use that to carve out a future pathway for continued survival. That's where I think we are and need to be. And I think that concept of Africatown embodies that and gives us a vehicle that we can actually travel to that point. And everybody can't go. Everybody's not going to go because everybody's not going to believe it. Just like when we were young and they were on the microphone screaming about self-destruction and this and that. Man, that was a good beat. Yeah, we liked it. But man, we ain't gonna kill everybody. Everybody ain't going to jail, man. How they gonna, man, that ain't nobody getting strung out. How many times did we sit back, feel that way, and then get that phone call? Man, you heard about such and such? Oh man, this happened. Oh man, the police did that. They did what?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like each year elevating and escalating and already, yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry to talk so long.
No. That's fine. It's great. Now you said we're on a path of self-destruction, right?
Yes, sir.
And it like every year it gets worse.
It
Now,
does.
can you give me some examples of that, like to make it a bit more vivid for us to see what you mean?
Yes. Well, the guns and the drugs, firstly, I think they've always been here.
Right.
We can go back, for
80.
how many. Yeah, we're gonna always find them.
Mm-hmm.
But
the switches,
the whole thing in the mindset that has been embedded to where the only enemy you have is you. If Bumpy Johnson got a problem with, I'ma just theorize like Chalky White and they gotta shoot it out to work it out. Understandable. We on territory, we on turf, we on this, we on that, or whatever. Okay. But it didn't take their eye off the focus that, hey, Mr. Giussellini and this other dude and the Irishman and then this guy, they're still there. And after I get through with you, we're gonna go back and handle that business. Now the business is just you and me.
Ops
to the death.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's been a switch in the mind state that you are my natural, inherent, born enemy, and I must destroy you, even if it destroys me in the process. Okay, I don't care about your family. I'm shooting up the funeral. I'm shooting up the wedding. I'm shooting up the birthday party, and that mindset, where we don't have any plex about destroying ourselves just to kill you or me. That I think is the escalation that we have not seen previously.
Right, like the glorification of having now what they call hats or bodies.
Yes, you got to have that. The younger, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Blacker, the better. The more heinous, the more senseless, the better. And we allow it. We promote it.
Yeah.
And where's it promoted most? TV, radio. Our women have been inculcated into the process, and you see them doing the dance and singing the song and the this and the that. And if you ain't like this, then you ain't like that, and they promote it to their children, the baby, and he sees this man on TV, riding around, shooting up the other guys, singing about it, rapping about it. It's entertainment. We're playing each other like it's Nintendo or something, and like I said, we've always had rivalry and there always will be. But when that is the exclusive expression of your energy weapon to your people, it don't go nowhere else. I've seen videos. I think everybody's seen them. There's some brothers in the mall. They want to fight. The mall's full of white people, and the black people filter and sort through the white people just to get at the other black people that they don't even know, to kill them because of You wasn't supposed to be over here. You had the wrong color on. You looked at me funny. You licked your ice cream cone wrong. I don't know what it was, but just the ultimate energy, superhero strength is dedicated to this type of action. You know, is what I'm speaking of, and a nuance and change that we have to identify and really deal with.
Right, Mag, you had something to say?
Yes, indeed. I just want to make sure that that we touch on the because you have a really good program, Family Africatown, on how you came from where you came from, saw what you saw, absorbed what you absorbed, and then presented this program as a solution. You
Mm,
see what I'm saying? Yeah, because I've seen this brother help a lot of people, not just talk about the problem, but help a lot of people in a way that other people didn't help. So,
yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Um, we all in a state of personal, social, mental, spiritual evolution. Every
Hmm.
day we wake up, we either evolving or devolving. We're a better man today than we were yesterday, but we're not. Okay. And I growing up in that toxic environment, were pulled into many things that were not productive to myself, my community, my family, my future. So, fortunately, and by the will of God, you know, and with the help thereof, I was able to identify a a change that I could make. If not even in my own community, because a lot of times you're not accepted in your own community. You all know that. But if I couldn't do it there, I was going to do it somewhere else or on such a large scale level that it would have impact there as well. Um, that was my motivation. The programs and the ideas, they came from, number one, seeing the same program being ran against us everywhere on earth. Okay. Miseducation. All right. Economic strife and turmoil resulting in vulnerabilities in your home life and status. Okay. So that sounds like, man, that's everyday news. That's normal. I can't pay the rent, or the rent done went up and I don't know how to pay it, but I'm gonna just, wait it out or get high or gotta go do what I gotta do to make it happen, whatever. So, but I'm miseducated. Okay. I went to the public school because my mother and my father or whoever was in the same situation as were their parents. All right.
Mhm.
So there's a common thread that's going through all of us. And the shocking part was when I did start residing in Africa and I made it there, the same thing is over there. And we're just dealing with different timelines of the same situation and how that timeline evolves the people that it's affecting and the products that those people become afterwards. So, um, firstly, I wanted to address the education situation, and that's very dangerous in America. And we all see Umar Johnson.
Mhm.
The man been talking about, the school and this and that, and everybody's attacking him on different points of failure for the school. Let me be the first to tell you, if you say publicly or privately, I am going to educate my own people, and it's going to be a Black education centered around their success and survival, you will be a threat and under attack by the highest forces in the nation, if not the world. That is the most dangerous thing that you can say, that I am going to educate the youth as to the truth about who their enemy is and who they are and how they need to carry themselves to defend and fight against the situation that their enemies have imposed upon them. You right there have made yourself enemy number one. Okay. And whatever it takes to discredit, destroy, devalue, delineate, and erase you from the conversation will happen. And it will come from your own people. It will come from places you didn't even think were even watching you. But this is such a critical area. You know, you got the criminal justice budget in alignment with the educational budget in most, if not all, jurisdictions. They are neck and neck, and every year they increase. Every year they need more money for each budget, because if we get more money, the crime will stop. If we get more money, there are more educational opportunities will happen and more successes will happen. But if you look at the metrics, it's a consistent slope going downward so far as success. Recidivism, arrest records, crime is consistently, even when they say it went down, if we look at the actual numbers of the people being incarcerated and the deaths that are happening, we see it on a downward slope of a non-successful program and platform. Education, more money, billions of dollars have gone into education, but people in our community still reading at Jim Crow era levels, dropping out straight from school to the prison. They call it a pipeline. They have a conduit to take us straight from high school, if not earlier, into prison. Okay, so when you say I'm going to attack that system, then like I said, you become public enemy number one, and that's just the reality. So I wanted to, and I still want to address the educational issue. However, we got sidetracked because they ramped up the economic hardship and tyranny to where, man, you can't.
Wait, say that again. I had to drop a bomb on that. Say that again.
I said, right now, we were worried about education. We were coming together about education, and they increased the economic hardship on us to where it became to the point where we can't even pay our rent. We're under the threat of eviction. We're laying on Big Mama's couch with our kids. You know, I deal with some families. This is the reality. I got families right now, mother, father working, cannot have a place to stay because of credit and background checks and the inability to come up with the first, last month, and deposit for an apartment, which can be upwards of $8,000. Okay, so to move in a place, I got to have first, last month's rent. Okay, rent is $2,500, $3,500, and I got to have a deposit. We had between $8,000 and $10,000. We both working. What do? Me and my wife, or me, I sleep in the car at the park. They sleep at her mama's house on the couch. I get up, take a bird bath in the park, get ready for work, drive, pick up my wife and kids, drop them off at the bus stop at the zip code that I'm allowed to submit my children to public education, and we go to work, and that's our day. How do we break out of that cycle with 2 checks? How do we break out of that cycle with 5 checks? You see what I'm saying? It's impossible. The mathematics there is not a viable solution, and they know it. I got other people, you know, single individuals, you know, cannot get an apartment. They get on the bus after work and they ride the bus till the bus tell them to get off. They sit there, chill for an hour or two till the buses start back running, and get back on the bus and ride again till work start. You know, so I was seeing these type of situations. And so when I'm calling people to an educational front, you know, to go to war for our story, to go to war for a cultural responsive environment for our children to learn in, you know, because I'm seeing, you know, the suburban schools, the white schools, the other schools, they got science labs, you know, they got polo and soccer teams. They've got computer labs. They got AI sponsored by Google. They've got this, that, and that. And what do we have? A basketball and an overly excited police officer at the school, and a bunch of drama and crazy stuff going on. So, you know, I'm calling the people to education, but they're saying, hey, man, we heard about the education, but ain't nothing going on but the rent. All right. So the ultimate distraction and pull out of the rug from under the educational feet is, man, we'll put you on your back out here. You'll be homeless. You know. So in our jurisdiction, what I found, we had Department of Social and Human Health Services, the school district, the development and the banking class and communities, as well as Section 8 and the Housing Authority, all working together to move and reshape the identity of the city by eliminating Black students. Okay, and putting them in specific schools that they had zoned for the prison pipeline. Think about that. You've got the bank, Section 8, the food stamp lady that you like down there to give you those nice food stamps, and the developers, the people that bulldoze blocks and build one-bedroom apartments where it used to be family homes, all working together to create what this place is going to look like and who is going to live here. And if we got to go up $1,000 on the rent, it don't matter to some people. Other people, $5 is too much. $100 is too much. But they knew that. So they created it, the situation where they had no rent control, and all of them were working together. So the first person that feels has got his hand on the pulse of the vulnerability of the family, the food stamp people, Department of Human and Health Services. They know how much food stamps you got. They seeing your spending habit. Look, we gave them 500. They were done by the 13th of the month. Then the month after that, they were done by the 9th of the month. All right, raise the rent. Okay, because we want that block. We don't want your house. We want that block. All right, so the development community comes in. They get funding from the bank. They were giving them unlimited amounts of money, all right, to come in and throw at families. So you paying rent to Mr. Jones, whose mama used to own the house, and you knew his sister, and blah, blah, blah. Y'all went to school together, and now your kids is here, and your wife, blah, 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 whatever. Mr. Jones has got an offer for his $100,000 house at $250,000. Man, I'm sorry. Y'all got to go. And it ain't even on me. I'm selling it, and I'm out. Okay? Because long story short, he's got similar pressures, if not directly on him, with family members that he is in leagues with. So it's a complicated, but not so complicated equation that has us at net zero by the end of its execution. So we have to be aware that these are the systems that they're using. And once in place, education, morality, everything goes out the window.
When you don't have a place to stay.
You ain't got nowhere to stay. Where you gonna live? Yeah, the revolution, it got to have some type of footing. We got to, take a break, go home and go to bed. But man, if you sleeping in the park and then pump in the drugs, now everybody's on the fentanyl zombie medication, walking around or hunched over or doing the lean walk, whatever they doing. Now we out here in the midst of that. How long do it take for you psychologically to break down and just give up? And that is the intended working philosophy that has been imposed upon us that we have to be aware of.
Now we're out of time now. However, I want to just ask this question right quick. So you said the banks, the what'd you say? The banks, the building, the development companies.
Okay. Department of Human and Health Services.
They all work together.
And the Housing Authority. Okay.
They all work together.
They are sitting at the same table with a map on your neighborhood, talking about how do we get rid of you out of that neighborhood? What is it going to take? Who has the button in their repertoire to remove you from this neighborhood, to take that property, either repurpose it or bulldoze it and create something more economical? Listen, When we grew up, the houses were triangles and rectangles, right? Now the houses are squares. Why? Because the most efficient from a development standpoint is a square. If I put squares make grids. Triangles don't make grids. Circles don't make grids. All right. But now every house on the block, if it looked like a square, I got more square footage. Okay. I can put more people in there. No more triangle. This is the style now. Don't you get it? Yeah. Now the bank and the developer, they really with the style. Oh, it looks beautiful. It looks like crap. It looks like a prison, a big block, a square. But now I'm modernized with my square home. Okay. So they're all working together, as I said, to eliminate us. And they have the tools at their disposal and full complicity from those that are observing. Either they're being paid off or they are scared that their game will be blown on another level of the local political scene or economic scene. So that is the reality. So that's what took over our educational initiatives. I sat on the school district's Black Task Force under the superintendent's office for about a year, until the point where the superintendent bailed out. His name is Jose Banda. He's the superintendent of Sacramento now. So Seattle is one of the nation's largest school districts. We sat and tried to hash these problems out for, like I said, about a year. And at the end, everybody just went their separate ways. And at that point in time, I found out who was who and who was working with what. And this was the normal thing, that they all colluded together. And we don't see that. Why would the food stamp lady be talking to the bank, talking to SHA or the housing authority and the developer? Why would they all be working together? How could they work together? Because they have an agenda, and there's someone on top of that agenda directing and connecting our destruction. And we don't see that because we're too busy doing the same thing.
Indeed. On that note, I would like to close today's podcast out. Brother, gotta have you up again. You bring a lot of valid information. You're connecting the dots for me, anyways. In my mind, I don't know anyone else in the chat. Mag, what do you think?
Oh yeah, I definitely, when we started doing these shows, I was like, I gotta have my brother Malachi, because he's an international brother. He moving and shaking, and he got data that other people don't have. Nope. And they're gonna put it together in a way other people don't put it together. So we definitely want him as a regular guest on the show. Indeed. Plus he's in the continent, so hey, he gonna give us a good report on that too the next time he get on here. But
no doubt,
yeah.
It's a must have. It's a must have. I do.
Yep.
6 months here, 6 months there. I got the lowdown.
Yeah, that'll be peace. On that note, thank you, brothers, for coming out this evening. I really appreciate you. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to the viewers right now and the viewers after.
Remember now, this is the Black Round Table, and this is the Black Livable Cities. Our guest today was Brother Malakai Kane. Gotta thank my brother I Supreme Ron Brown for hosting us.
Right.
Peace.
Thank you, brother.
Peace.
All right, peace, brothers.